Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka Mono Bluetron, back again with another episode of 10-Minute Testing. Now, we're a little later than usual today because some asshole blew up a pipe bomb in the subway and extended my commute by about an hour, and that's also basically all he accomplished. But we're finally taking a look at one of my favorite decks of all time and a personal hill I'll die on, Ritual Beasts. Now, they've got a new Link monster, and while evaluating Ritual Beast cards is basically the most difficult thing in the world, this one sure has a lot of text on it. So let's jump into deck edit and see if any of that text is relevant. So here's the list. Now the first thing you'll notice is that it doesn't look too much different than the way we were playing Ritual Beast last year, or the year before that. As always, I'll give you a little bit of background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and as always, the card by card. So firstly, for those of you who don't know, Ritual Beast is the eggs of Yu-Gi-Oh! It's a deck that's not exactly too powerful to find itself on the ban list, but it ended up there anyway because the turns took forever. I mean, in context. This was at a time when people would set one pass. By today's standards, the combos are super simplistic, and Ulti-Cannahawk could come off the list anytime, Konami. These contact fusions shuffle their spear Ritual Beasts and their Ritual Beast Tamers between the Banished Zone and the Graveyard, repeatedly resummoning them to go back into the contact fusions. Now, the most powerful of these contact fusions, Ulti-Cannahawk, has a neat interaction where you can target two cards in your Banished Zone and send them back to the Graveyard to add a Ritual Beast card from your deck to your hand, then chain its effect to tag out, targeting one of the two cards you previously selected. One will go to the Graveyard and the effect will resolve. Neat, right? Each monster can only be special summoned once per turn, so we're going to use our usually two activations to add two traps, our non-targeting monster removal Ritual Beast Steeds, and our double call, the Haunted Ritual Beast Ambush, to our hand. Now this deck is trying to do one thing and one thing only, that is open a way to double summon. Now first keep in mind we're not actually playing double summon because that card is just awful. Instead we're looking to normal summon Elder and then normal summon Cannahawk, setting up an amazing ulti play. Now this one's a little different since we now have this new Link monster. Now he's not an amazing combo starter since he needs guys in Graveyard, which is something the deck doesn't actually do very well or very consistently, but he's a really excellent combo extender. He both frees up space for multiple fusion monsters, but also does what the deck needs most, gives it another way to normal summon. Now keep in mind, the biggest problem with Ritual Beast continues to be the way to normal summon the first two monsters. So a Link dude that requires two materials isn't going to solve that problem. I still expect the deck to be very inconsistent and fragile, but I do expect that when it gets going, it will start really getting going. So with that, let's jump into the card by card. First, let's just get this out of the way, but we're playing 4 hand traps, 3 copies of Ghost Ogre, and a Max C. Honestly, we could probably use some Ashes in here as well, but the deck has so many must-plays that we're kind of out of space. Next is the Tamers, 3 copies of Elder, 3 copies of Wen, who summons from Banished, 1 copy of Zephram Pilica. I'd play 2, but we need the extra name for our next card, Lara, both of these special from Graveyard. After that are the Beasts, 3 copies of Cannahawk, 2 copies of Apelio, 3 copies of Rampengu, and 1 copy of Petalfin. After that are our 2 Winda. She's not like great or anything, but she is both a spiritual beast and a ritual beast tamer, so she's a 2 of. Next is our terraforming package. We have 1 Brain Research Lab, a repeatable double summon, 1 Oracle of Zephyra, a Rampengu searcher, and 3 terraforming. After that are 2 Sarcophagus for Wen and our 1-ofs, 1 copy of Ritual Beast Return, 1 copy of Dimensional Fissure, 1 copy of Emergency Teleport. After that are the traps, 2 copies of Ambush, 3 Steeds, followed by a Torrential and a Macro Cosmos. In the extra, we have a ton of fusions. You're going to need multiples for Rampengu activations. You're not actually going to go into all of these. We have 3 copies of Ulti-Apelio, 1 copy of Ulti-Cannahawk, 1 tear drips down my cheek, 2 copies of Ulti-Gaia-Pello, and 2 copies of Ulti-Petalfin, followed by 2 of the new Link monster, and a bunch of bad rank 4s, Kidori, Castel, the Utopias, and an Abyss Dweller. So with that, let's jump into the games. So our first match is up against Volcanic, and wow, it's just rogue decks of 2015, huh? We've actually opened very well. We have 2 copies of Terraforming, which means we'll have access to both Brain Research Lab and, of course, Oracle of Zephyra, getting us the Zephram Pilica and the Brain Research Lab necessary to perform a double summon. We have a copy of Ambush in hand, so it doesn't really matter that we can't get 2 searches with our Ulti-Cannahawk. Our opponent's hand is hilarious, but actually not terrible. Since we can't consistently OTK them, they can always just set a Blaze Accelerator reload, Magic Planter at the next turn, have access to the Scatter Shot effect, and, of course, draw a bunch of cards in the process. We're going to start by activating these couple copies of Terraforming, just like I said earlier, for the Oracle of Zephyr and the Zephram Pilica, followed by the Brain Research Lab. We'll use its effect to normal summon the Winda in our hand, then normal summon the Zephram Pilica, go into an Ulti-Cannahawk, fully ready to lose this sucker, and get ourselves a copy of Steed, set to, and pass. Our opponent's going to draw into a Royal Firestorm Guards, then normal summon the Summoner Monk, and ooh, discard the Magic Planter. We'll activate the effect of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit, and ooh, you fancy going into Witch of the Black Forest here. I get it. At end step, we're going to activate ambush and get ourselves 2 Ritual Beasts back. We draw into an emergency teleport, which is not great news because we're really looking for more of the beasts and less of the tamers. We'll go ahead and go into a copy of Ulti-Petalfin at the end of our main phase 2, just because it can't be destroyed by card effects and we want to kind of hedge against any potential scattershot plays. Our opponent's going to Volcanic Shell a couple of times. We're going to Steeds to try and waste his normal summon on this Summoner Monk. They will activate this copy of Upstart Goblin, set this Fiendish Chain, and pass it back. So they're not dead here because Fiendish Chain is a little bit of a problem for us. Of course, Apelio does not shed everything, only when it's attacking, so they will go ahead and activate it pre-combat, really screw us up a little bit. Our guys come back in defense, so we can only do 1800 to them this turn. Not lethal, unfortunately, and then in main phase 2, we'll go back into Ulti-Petalfin because it's the hardest to get rid of. Our opponent's going to show to us that they have 3 of a kind. They're going to do what they can with this blue boy using Secrets for Knowledge, then using Knowledge again to draw a couple of cards. Normal summoning Summoner Monk, using its effect to get Rocket, but no targets means a concession. So very interesting game 1. Our second game is a parable about what happens when you go second and don't open a hand trap. Our opponent is playing some sort of Dark Law deck. Dark Law is actually pretty good for us because it banishes all of our monsters, something that we will pay through the nose for, but unfortunately we don't have a good way to deal with the multiple Grinder Golems in our opponent's hand. More importantly, we don't have any hand traps, nor do we have a way to double summon, so this one's going to be a little dicey. Our opponent's going to start by making a bunch of Grinder Golem tokens. You've probably seen this play before. 2 copies of Link Spider, then an Akashic Magician returning the Grinder Golem, 2 more copies of Grinder Golem tokens, then, of course, a copy of Security Dragon, bouncing the Grinder Golem, and then using its effect one more time. Now, since they have a copy of Malicious Engrave, they will here go into a Firewall Dragon, then use Akashic's other effect, calling Shadow Mist, I think just kind of hoping to hit it, then using Firewall to bounce that Grinder Golem one more time, using the Malicious in Graveyard as well as a Link Rebo from Extra Deck to make themselves a Skull Death. And then, of course, they will draw 4 cards, shuffle some back, then special summon the Shadow Mist that they drew into. That gets them the 3rd change to their hand. They will set 3, special this Malicious from Grave, and pass back. Just trying to set up a pretty good Firewall, I believe. So, things are looking a little dire for us, and we don't have a way to double summon, so let's just set this window and hope for the best. Our opponent's going to start by making, wouldn't you know it, an Akashic Magician, 2 of them, huh? And then, of course, activating the effect of Firewall Dragon and the effect of Elemental Hero Shadow Mist to get a Dasher. I expect the other part of their Destiny Draw package. Windows going to get us Ulti-Petalfin, which is pretty excellent, but not fantastic. It at least blanks more damage. We'll activate the effect of Zephyr and Pilica, and I am shocked to see they don't have anything but a Maxi to stop me. I'll go into Ulti-Gaia-Pello, and we are all in on this sucker. So, Ulti-Gaia-Pello can negate activations of anything, but you have to banish a Ritual Beast card from your hand. After the second mass change, I figure, well, you know, Dark Law is actually not a big deal for me. I'm really only scared of the Honesty Neos, so as long as we keep 1 negate in hand for the Honesty Neos that is coming right about now, we should be fine. Now remember, because we're negating the activation, we can't activate this during the damage step. Our opponent's going to take 2200, pass it back, we will activate Ambush in the end step, and suddenly this is looking pretty good for us. We'll start by using the effect of Rampengu, then normal summoning Cannahawk, using its effect, just kind of trying to cover all of our bases, attacking for 800 over Dark Law, 1600, and lethal? After we negate the Scapegoat. Lethal. So a very interesting game, too. I probably would have given us a 10% chance to win that match after that first turn, but here we are. Unfortunately, our third match is up against Spiral, a deck that I don't think we have a 1% chance of beating, especially since we are going second. Thankfully, we do have 2 copies of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. Always want to see hand traps in your opener second, but unfortunately, they are the same hand trap, twice. And we have no way to follow up with a Ritual Beast play. So this is just going to have to be enough. We'll have to hope that they stall themselves out and can't make anything happen. They'll start by normal summoning Drone using its effect, then special summoning the Super Agent, of course, guaranteed. Going into a Helix using its effect, we will, of course, Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit that, but unfortunately this means they can add a card to their hand. They'll get a quick fix, then use the Resort to get a copy of Super Agent, passing it back to us. So things aren't looking great. We need to get a Ritual Beast in Graveyard stat for return. We'll go ahead and normal summon this Petalfin. Maybe we can make him normal summon the copy of Quick Fix and attack us. Unfortunately, he is going to correctly start with the Super Agent. We'll use Steeds. Of course, it doesn't matter that they have a Resort out because Steeds does not target. They will then use a 1-for-1, discarding the Master Plan they added off of the Resort to get a Drone and a Quick Fix, getting a copy of Big Red and going into Helix. We will once again use Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit to destroy said Helix. Afterwards, they will use this copy of Spiral Gear Big Red to get back Master Plan and then attack over our Wimpy Zero attack Petalfin. So things aren't looking great, but we do draw maybe the best card remaining in our deck, a copy of Ritual Spiritual Buster Blaster Winda. We'll go ahead and banish her to get Petalfin back, then normal summon Wen, use its effect to get back the Winda, and we should be off to the races. Unfortunately, our opponent does have a Ghost Ogre for our Ulti-Cannahawk at a time that we cannot tag out, so there goes our only copy. We have a copy of Ambush, but the writing's kind of on the wall for this one. We can do 300 damage, but not a lot else. In end step, our opponent's going to add this drone back to their hand, then go off to the races. They'll start with drone, then use Spiral Resort's effect to get a copy of Super Agent to their hand. We will, of course, chain this Ambush, but a copy of Petalfin and a copy of Winda aren't going to do a whole lot, especially when I doubt this Winda is going to leave the battlefield by, battle. They'll start by using the effect of Helix to get a Master Plan once again, then use Quick Fix effect to Reborn from Graveyard. They will go into a Decode Talker and a Princess Sprite, and what should they hit but, oh my god, a Foolish Burial Goods setting an Assault. They'll use Rescue's Grave effect to get back Helix, then they'll get Quick Fix back one more time, use its effect to get a Wire, go into a Firewall Dragon, and this is only the beginning. They'll double summon with the Assault, go into a Reset Starling, use Starling's effect to go ahead and get themselves a DD Crow. Afterwards, they will special summon Quick Fix one more time, go into Proxy Dragon, special summon DD Crow, here's Trigate, here's Sleeper, oh my god, how do I get out of this one? And of course, afterwards they can put together another Proxy Dragon, or at least an Ebe, so they can banish this copy of Winda. So that's the game. So we're back with the deck, and bleh. I mean, I think the unfortunate truth is that the Link monster doesn't really change a lot for us. Like, yeah, he's cool, and it's awesome to see Gustos on card art again, but the game just isn't in a place where the difference between winning and losing is comboing harder than your opponent. It's about getting the combo started in the first place. Like, why prepare for an opener without hand traps when people are playing 13 of them? Like, we're still the same old deck that prays to open Elder plus Cannahawk and not get disrupted, and we kind of fold to everything else, honestly. There's some cute combos on Reddit where people have started brainstorming just how far they can go with the new Link monster, but it sort of feels as unnecessary as like the long, intricate spiral combos. The normal combo just kills them. We're just a fragile version of a long combo deck, and until our opponents lose the ability to interact with us on our first turn, that's really all we're ever going to be. So that's that. You know, despite all of this, I still have faith, and I hope that RB becomes playable someday in the far-flung future. I'm just not holding my breath about it. If you want to see me play the decks I make on this show on stream, I'm on twitch.tv/monobluetron every Tuesday and Thursday from 10 to midnight Eastern Standard Time. And if you have an idea for a certain deck or archetype you want to see me play, let me know in the comments, and I'll do my best to get to it. Otherwise, I'll see you Wednesday.